Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract constant struggle, conflict, and limitation in their lives, despite their best efforts to be good people? Have you ever noticed that certain negative patterns keep repeating in your own life, no matter how hard you try to change your circumstances? Have you ever felt like you're trapped in cycles of frustration, disappointment, or suffering that seem to follow you everywhere you go? If these questions just stirred something uncomfortable but familiar in your heart, you're exactly where you need to be, because what I'm about to share will reveal the most shocking truth that Paramhansa Yogananda taught about the worst karma we create. And it's something so common that you probably do it multiple times every single day without even realizing the challenging spiritual consequences. You see, most people in the world think that bad karma comes from obviously harmful actions like lying, stealing, or hurting others. But the great spiritual master Paramhansa Yogananda revealed something that changes everything about how we understand the creation of negative karma. He lovingly but firmly taught us, the worst karma is not created by dramatic acts of evil, but by the subtle poison of criticism and condemnation that flows through your thoughts and words every day. When you criticize another soul, when you condemn someone's choices, when you feel superior to another person's struggles, you create the heaviest karmic burden because you are acting as if you are God, deciding who is worthy and who is not. This spiritual arrogance creates more negative karma than almost any other action because it separates you from the divine love that connects all beings. Be it whether you consider yourself a spiritual person or not, whether you believe in karma as cosmic law or simply as the natural consequences of our attitudes and actions, the truth remains the same. If you've ever noticed yourself mentally criticizing someone's appearance, condemning another person's life choices, or feeling secretly superior when you see someone struggling, then you already recognize this challenging pattern. The karma of criticism is so destructive because it doesn't just harm others. It immediately poisons your own consciousness and attracts the very experiences you're condemning others for having. And I promise you, by the end of this sacred journey together, you'll never criticize another person the same way again. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through Yogananda's most urgent teaching about what he called the karma of spiritual arrogance, a hidden pattern that destroys more lives and creates more suffering than almost any other spiritual mistake. Please understand that recognizing critical patterns in ourselves can be uncomfortable, but this awareness is the first step toward liberation from negative karma creation. But first, let me ask you something that might feel deeply uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed that the things you criticize most harshly in others are often the very struggles you end up facing in your own life? Have you observed that when you condemn someone's financial problems, relationship issues, or personal failures, you somehow attract similar challenges? Have you felt that the more you criticize others, the more isolated, defensive, and unhappy you become? If you're recognizing this painful pattern right now, you're already experiencing what Yogananda called the mirror of karmic justice, where the universe reflects back to you the energy you send out through criticism and condemnation. Yogananda explained it with devastating clarity when he said, every time you criticize another soul, you are declaring yourself separate from them and superior to them. But in truth, we are all one consciousness experiencing different lessons. When you condemn someone's poverty, you create the karma of lack. When you criticize someone's loneliness, you create the karma of isolation. When you condemn someone's mistakes, you create the karma of failure. The universe has no choice but to teach you compassion by giving you the exact experiences you have criticized others for having. This is not punishment, it is education in divine love. Now, you might be wondering how something as seemingly harmless as a critical thought could create such powerful negative consequences. And here's where it gets truly sobering. According to Yogananda's deepest teachings, there is what he called the law of karmic magnetism, a spiritual principle that shows how criticism and condemnation create energetic patterns that attract corresponding experiences into your life. This law reveals that when you criticize others, you're not just having innocent thoughts, you're actively programming your consciousness to manifest the very conditions you're condemning. Think about your own patterns of criticism for a moment. Can you identify the types of people or situations you find yourself condemning most often? Maybe it's people who seem lazy, or those who make poor financial decisions, or individuals who struggle with relationships, or those who can't seem to get their lives together. Take a moment to really feel into your most frequent criticisms, because what you're recognizing are the exact areas where you're creating negative karma that will eventually manifest in your own experience. This recognition you just felt, it's what Yogananda called the moment of karmic awakening. Every time you become conscious of your critical patterns, you create the possibility for breaking the cycle and beginning to create positive karma instead. And here's what makes this so urgent. Criticism karma works faster than almost any other type because it operates through the immediate poison of consciousness separation. Now, I want you to be completely honest with yourself for a moment. When you look at your current life challenges and struggles, can you trace any of them back to areas where you have criticized others harshly? Can you see how your condemning thoughts about others might have created the very experiences you're now facing? Your answer will reveal how ready you are to take responsibility for the karma you've been unconsciously creating. If you recognize those connections, then you're ready for what comes next. Because now, I'm going to share exactly how Yogananda taught people to break the cycle of criticism karma and begin creating what he called the karma of divine compassion, the most powerful positive force for transforming your entire life experience. The method he taught works through what he called sacred recognition practice, consciously choosing to see the divine soul in every person you encounter, especially those you feel tempted to criticize. Let's practice this together right now. I want you to think of someone you've been criticizing or condemning lately. As Yogananda taught, instead of focusing on their apparent flaws or mistakes, silently say, I recognize the divine soul within this person. They are learning their lessons just as I am learning mine. I send them love and compassion, knowing that we are all walking each other home to God. I release all criticism and choose to see with divine eyes. Did you feel that shift from separation to connection? That's the beginning of positive karma creation. If you felt even a subtle shift just now, imagine what happens when you practice this sacred recognition with every person you encounter throughout your day. But there's a deeper aspect of this practice that Yogananda said was essential for complete karmic transformation. He called it criticism reversal, the practice of immediately sending love and blessings to anyone you catch yourself condemning, while asking for forgiveness for your spiritual arrogance. Here's how Yogananda taught this life-changing practice. The moment you notice a critical or condemning thought arising about another person, immediately stop and reverse the energy. Instead of continuing the criticism, send that person a silent blessing. Ask for their highest good. Pray for their happiness and success. Then humbly ask for forgiveness for your moment of spiritual arrogance, recognizing that you are not qualified to condemn any soul's journey. He taught that this practice not only stops negative karma creation, but actually transforms the critical energy into compassion karma that blesses both you and the other person. Let me share a story that powerfully illustrates this transformation. As I tell you this, I want you to ask yourself, what might change in my life if I stopped creating criticism karma and started creating compassion karma instead? There was a successful businessman who came to Yogananda feeling frustrated and confused, saying, "Master, I work hard. I'm honest in my business. I donate to charity, yet I keep facing financial setbacks, relationship problems, and health issues. I don't understand why life keeps punishing me when I'm trying to be a good person." Yogananda looked at him with penetrating compassion and said something that shattered his self-image. "My child, you are indeed honest and generous in your actions, but you are creating heavy karma through the constant stream of criticism that flows through your mind. You condemn your employees as lazy, your competitors as unethical, poor people as irresponsible, and anyone who struggles as weak. Every day, you send out dozens of critical thoughts that create the very experiences you're now suffering. Your financial problems reflect your condemnation of others' money struggles. Your relationship issues mirror your criticism of others' personal lives. Your health challenges echo your harsh thoughts about people who can't take care of themselves." He then taught him the sacred recognition practice and criticism reversal technique. For the next month, every time he caught himself criticizing someone, he would immediately send them love and ask for forgiveness. He began looking for the divine spark in every person he encountered, especially those he had previously condemned. He started blessing his employees instead of criticizing them, sending compassion to competitors instead of condemnation, and recognizing the struggles of others as opportunities for his own spiritual growth. Over the course of several months of dedicated practice, something miraculous began to unfold. His business relationships became more harmonious and profitable. His personal relationships deepened with trust and love. His health improved dramatically. But most importantly, he discovered an inner peace and joy he had never experienced before. He realized, "Master, I thought other people were the problem, but I was the problem. When I stopped poisoning my consciousness with criticism, everything in my life began to heal." When I share this story with people, they often ask with amazement, "Can criticism really create that much negative karma?" And according to Yogananda's teachings, the answer is absolutely yes, because criticism is the root of spiritual separation, the fundamental error that creates all other forms of suffering and limitation. Now here's what Yogananda wanted everyone to understand. At the deepest level, he taught that criticism is not just a bad habit, it's a form of spiritual violence that wounds both the critic and the criticized. As he powerfully said, "When you criticize another soul, you are committing the greatest sin, the sin of playing God. You are deciding that you know better than divine wisdom what experiences that soul needs for their growth. You are declaring yourself separate from the unity of all life. This spiritual arrogance creates such heavy karma because it goes against the fundamental truth that we are all one consciousness learning to love. The fastest way to transform your entire life is to stop condemning and start blessing every soul you encounter. If you're truly ready to break free from criticism karma, then make this sacred commitment right now. I recognize that I have been creating negative karma through criticism and condemnation. I commit to seeing the divine soul in every person I encounter. When I feel tempted to criticize, I will immediately send love and blessings instead. I will practice sacred recognition, knowing that we are all walking each other home to God. I choose to create compassion karma rather than criticism karma, understanding that this choice will transform my entire life experience. Say it with your whole heart. The universe is listening and ready to support your transformation. As Paramhansa Yogananda beautifully reminded us, the worst karma comes from the illusion that you are separate from and superior to other souls. The best karma comes from recognizing that every person you meet is a divine being having a human experience, just like you. When you stop condemning and start loving, you stop creating problems and start creating miracles. This is the fastest path to freedom from all negative karma. Before we part ways, I want to leave you with something sacred you can do right now to begin transforming your karma. Take out your phone and write yourself one word that represents your commitment to ending criticism karma. Perhaps compassion, blessing, unity, or love. Put it where you'll see it tomorrow morning. This simple act will anchor your intention to see divinity in every soul and remind you that every moment of criticism is an opportunity to choose love instead. If this message awakened you to the challenging effects of criticism karma, I'd be deeply honored if you shared it with someone who needs this understanding today. Sometimes we become the vessel through which divine love reaches another soul who is unconsciously creating negative karma through condemnation and needs to remember the power of compassion. I'd love to know, what was that one word you wrote down about ending criticism karma? Share it in the comments below. Your commitment to compassion might be exactly what someone else needs to break free from their own patterns of condemnation and criticism. Until our souls meet again in divine love, may you remember that every person you encounter is a sacred opportunity to create positive karma through compassion rather than negative karma through criticism. Remember, dear soul, every moment you choose to see divinity instead of flaws, every time you send blessings instead of condemnation, every instant you recognize unity instead of separation, you are not only transforming your own karma, but contributing to the healing of the entire world. Honor the divine in every soul, trust in the perfect unfolding of each person's journey, and watch as your life becomes a reflection of the love and compassion you choose to see in others. Through understanding that criticism is the root of negative karma, you discover that compassion is the source of all blessings. This is Yogananda's most urgent gift, the recognition that you have the power to transform your entire destiny simply by choosing to love instead of condemn.